Have you ever felt buried in busy work, second guessing what to hand off, or wondering why growth still feels so darn heavy? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate. Get done, where real conversations help you lead smarter, delegate better, and take more off your plate. Here's your host, me, Bonnie Schutz. Hello, welcome back to Delegate to Elevate. Get done. I'm your host, Bonnie Schutz, and I am joined today by someone I have been trying to connect with for it feels like a year. Life's busy, schedules are busier, and that's what we're here to help you get away from, right? So we are hashtag guilty of our busy schedules being overly busy, but that's okay. Please welcome Jenn Adamson. Hi, Jenn.
Hey, Bonnie. Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'm going to read a little bio, let you know a bit more about her, and then I'll let her tell us a bit more about herself, and we'll get into the good stuff. So, Jenn Adamson is an executive wellness expert, registered nurse, never had a nurse on the show, a TEDx speaker, and best-selling author who helps high-achieving leaders enjoy their success without losing their edge. With 16 plus years in healthcare and corporate leadership, she specializes in burnout prevention. Need that, and sustainable high performance. Her approach combines clinical expertise with real world crisis leadership experience. System, we're going to try that again, Scott. Scott's my producer. We're going to back that up. Systematic, I almost said systemic. Count that back out. 3, 2, 1. She works with Fortune 500 companies and executives to prevent the systematic breakdown of decision making caused by chronic stress. Her clients often look successful on paper, but feel trapped by their achievements. Jenn believes success shouldn't cost your soul. No. And that powerful leaders can maintain their edge while operating from ease rather than exhaustion. Oh, girl, I need you today. So happy to have you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here, Bonnie. I love your energy and I love what you're
Thank
doing
you.
here and what you're creating. So it's the pleasure is all mine.
Oh, God bless you. You're sweet. And like I said at the top of the show, I was excited to finally get connected. We've had to do some canceling and rescheduling a few times, but life happens.
Like, yep,
Holidays happen. Uh,
so true.
and busyness along with business happens. But let's start there. So,
Yeah.
in this culture of busyness and hustle,
Mm,
um, do you mind if we do a little like role playing maybe, or maybe me kind of being that person you're coaching?
I would
Um,
love
will
this.
that work? Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool.
Let's do it.
So let's put the scenario as if I'm like kind of a new client.
Okay.
I'm in a leadership role at a corporate office, a Fortune 500 company, and I'm
Mhm.
leading a marketing team. And, I'm getting a whole lot of stress and pressure from the CEO to get things better. But me, as a woman of a certain age in this role, and feeling all the feels. And I thought I was pretty darn good at delegating and taking things off my plate. But I'm getting to this point of stress and rage and, and anxiety. And I'm just saying, I can do it better myself. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll just put that out there. Where would you start with me, and what might be some
Mm.
wisdom you could share with me?
Yeah. Oh, I love that because that's a story I hear all the time. It's very often, and I'm sure you're not surprised by that. I'm not either because was that woman at one point in time, and sometimes I still am because it's a practice. It's not getting it perfect and then being done and never having to learn it again. So when I have a client that comes in and is very much experiencing that, like, screw this, I'm just going to do this all myself. This is way more difficult. If I were to take the time to invest up front to, delegate and lead and maybe even train and even guide and sometimes handhold my team for
Yeah.
a while because it's just going to take too much time. I don't have enough. I
Right.
don't have enough time to do that. What I like to share is this first and foremost this important model. So, okay,
Mm.
Bonnie, I understand that you're feeling this way right now and it's completely valid, right? Because yeah, maybe you not maybe, you will get it done. If you do it all by yourself, Bonnie, you will get it done faster.
Sure.
Bottom line. But the difference is is that you're going to end up spinning your wheels
Mm.
further down the line and you're going to exhaust yourself. And there is a difference between, I would ask you, is do you consider yourself high functioning or high performing?
Ooh, I'm gonna
Mm,
answer that as if it's really happening.
yeah, yeah.
I'm high performing.
I love it. Well, we know that you have probably done a lot of inner work. I mean,
Yeah.
the podcast alone says how much work you've done in your expertise and your knowledge and your wisdom.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I also make that my core value too. I'm committed to being in a high performance frame of mind
Mhm.
embodiment, and I'm committed to having my team be in a high performance mode of operation. But the
Right.
difference between the two is high functioning versus high performing is they look the same from the outside. They look the same. They're getting done.
Yeah.
They're meeting their benchmarks. They're maybe even going beyond their milestones and their goals, and they're getting things done. But a lot of leaders think that high functioning, which is in when we're operating on chronic stress mode,
Mhm.
that will destroy decision making capacity. And
Yep.
over time, this costs companies up to $250 million annually through
Oh,
inefficient decision making.
wow.
Decision fatigue can really impair that executive
Mhm.
functioning. And
Mhm.
then what can happen is we can start to lead by making poor strategic choices. And when we are in high state of chronic stress, they say that acute stress is okay from time to time. When
Right.
we are in a stressful period of time, which is going to happen, our body, I'm going to get my nurse hat on, our
Do it.
operates in a way that we can get through that, but we're not designed to do it on a chronic level. We're not designed to
Mm.
be in stress on a chronic state. Our
Nope.
bodies cannot handle that.
Mm-mm.
Then what happens is we can drive down innovation and talent. And then we can see our talent leaving and going to our competitor as a result of it.
Mm.
So the most important piece to this element of how do we move from high functioning to high performing, whether it's you as a leader individually or you as a team, is learning that recovery is a strategic advantage. And we have to
Mm.
be able to build that into our schedules. We have to also not just recovery, but we have to rebuild our relationships to what it actually looks and feels like to embody a sense of spaciousness and inner
Mm.
safety on a somatic level.
Right.
It takes a lot of guts to say, you know what, I'm going to pause here for a moment and sleep on this decision rather than have to make it right now.
Oh, yeah. I've
Mhm.
done that one, and
Yeah.
the old Bonnie never did that, and
Yes.
but the smarter, older, wiser, whatever, more mature and experienced Bonnie is like, "I can't take this on a
Yeah.
continual level. I've got to do something for myself. I've got to step away, sleep on it," like you said, and boy, am I a different person when I come back to the problem or whatever it was the day before the next morning.
Yep.
Oh, total difference.
Yep. It is. It's true. It's kind of like the way I like to look at it is in a healthcare setting, as a nurse,
Yeah.
I'm working as a trauma experience in trauma. It's like having a patient who's deteriorating and
Mhm.
I have to call a code blue. And a code blue is when the patient's heart stops. And so
Okay.
hopefully you never have to experience that moment, but if you do, you will see that the system that is in place, it works very smoothly. The doctors come in, the
Mhm.
nurses come in, the respiratory therapists come in, all the specialists start to come in, and we know exactly what we need to do, and we have very very distinct roles. And the main mission is to get this patient's heart beating again. And in that moment, our adrenaline is high. Of course it is.
Yeah.
We are operating in an acute level of stress at that moment. Normal, natural state to be in when someone's heart stopping and you're trying to resuscitate them.
Mhm.
But the difference is can you imagine doing a code blue for 15 minutes versus 15 hours?
Mm.
We would be exhausted. The
Right?
outcomes would plummet. But why
Yeah,
do we expect ourselves to operate at that same
exactly.
level
Right.
consistently?
Oh. There's so many ways that I can keep my head's just all a fury, a flurry, not fury, fury's mad. Flurry, Bonnie, flurry. Again, one of those words I have to pick out of the Rolodex.
Totally.
I digress, but I love how I can like immediately my head went to how can I apply what she's saying to business
Yeah,
and leadership and seeing it from both sides. Like we don't want to have to call code blues in our
yeah,
businesses. So if we have the framework and we have the delegatees or the support personnel, whomever, that we can rely on to keep the person at the top or the person toward the top, whatever the
yeah,
case may be, in a good space, a good headspace, then that's going to be a good place all around for everyone because that person at the top is not stressed as much. I mean, there's always going to be a little stress at the
of
top,
course.
I have to say. But like you said, stress, acute stress is okay. Continued chronic stress, not good. Um, but what I, can tell you to just through talking to so many wonderful guests like yourself, um, my stress levels have come down. I've learned so much from the golden nuggets that people on this podcast have dropped for me and my audience that it's just like, ah, the sky opens. Like there is a way to get out of the rut, out of the stress, out of the feels because and what we talk about, Jen, a lot on this podcast is different ways to delegate. And it's not always like literal. Like
Yeah,
delegating your mind to a coach is something that I talk about a lot because you always have your old ways of thinking. But if you really take a moment and invest in yourself and think about what somebody else knows more about, then let them. That's my like, let it go.
mhm.
Let it
Pro
go,
house.
Anna.
Yes,
Yes,
let it
let it
go.
go and let that coach open your mind to a new way of doing something. So, like who are your number one clients and what's their number one stressor that
Mm,
happens when it comes to in the business world?
yeah, it runs the whole spectrum. But I often will see leaders who are in the senior level or director level or higher, all the way up to C-suite, who are they just feel like they have to do it all. They've been operating, they've reached a certain level of success. They've reached where they are on the organizational chart for a
Mhm.
reason, because what that their hustle and their hard work and their determination and their commitment that got them there, which is incredible, right? The high
Right.
achieving behaviors to get to that level. What an amazing thing to celebrate, and what a massive responsibility as well.
Yeah.
I always like to say is like when you're on a high when you have more power, so to say, in your
Yeah.
corporate career, you have also more responsibility. And it's really hard. It's kind of like when you go on vacation and you're busy, busy, busy at work all the time. You get to, not to say that you're not getting to a senior level or up to C-suite and you stop the work, right?
Right.
But the way in which we operate it can start to shift. So rather than, so let's say the busy bee, worker bee, getting done, continuously moving things forward,
Mhm.
you are now being looked to as a visionary, as someone who can help now to see certain patterns, to see
Mm.
from an eagle's eye view
Right.
where are the gaps, where are the strengths, where are the opportunities, right? The whole SWOT analysis. We ask ourselves these questions.
Mhm.
We have to learn how to operate kind of in a different frame of mind, more
Sure.
strategically, where it's like, how can we get to, we're here right now, how do we get to this level? And how can I be the conduit to
Mm.
help lead teams, whether it's in this one department or it's cross sectional?
Right.
And I think that sometimes I see that in leaders as that's a little bit difficult, because they've always been like, well, I'm so used to being in the trenches. I'm so used to
Yeah.
being, going full speed ahead and getting that done. And that's how I got this position, is because my boss saw that I do get done. And
Right.
it's not to say that we don't totally step away from that, but now you have a team.
Mhm.
Now you have a team or multiple teams
Yeah.
to carry out most of and execute most of that work. So how do you now give them what they need so that they can be successful as their,
Yes. Mm.
yeah,
I love this because I'm really seeing the similarities because I'm a corporate dropout.
right,
You
me
know,
too.
yeah, right. So it's like I remember those corporate days, and now being the head of my agency and running a company and doing this podcast and talking about it a lot. Um, if you were somebody talking to somebody like me that left corporate, like, and I'm just like I want to grow my business, and like where do I start to what do I offset to somebody else first, and if it's not, if I don't have the money or I'm just not, you don't talk to me and assess that I'm really ready mentally,
Yes.
what might you suggest we do as like an entrepreneur? And, how do we get to that next step if we want to grow, if we want to flex those delegation muscles? And we know that we need to because we are feeling that body, that stress and mind stuff. So I don't know if that's a question that was
Oh,
complete.
I get it. I
You
no,
kind
I
of get
totally
where I'm
catch what
going.
you're I totally catch what you're throwing. And
Yeah.
what's coming to me is I'm putting myself back in my shoes 6 years ago when I was starting
Hmm.
my business. I was a single mom. I was
Been
still working.
there. Yeah.
I was working full time as a registered nurse still. It was in 2020, right? And I've had
Mm.
many
Oh.
evolutions of the business up since then. I think we all do when we're first starting out.
Hmm.
We're just like, I have a dream and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go after it.
Yep.
But I think if I could have learned this sooner, it would have really helped me. What
Okay.
I always tell new entrepreneurs, beginners, is make sure you're focusing on the revenue generating activities first and foremost.
Yes.
So, but the thing is, the catch with that is that those can feel often the scariest. It requires the most amount of courage.
Hmm.
So, for example, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Um, will I choose to go to this networking event of other business owners and choose to practice maybe ahead of time a little bit of a 60-second elevator pitch so I can confidently explain what I do and who I am and how I'm here to help solve a problem?
Hmm.
Or will I spend the hour or an hour and a half at home hiding away on my computer updating my logo?
I know the answer to that one.
I know, because
I
I get it,
know
right?
the answer.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
are
let's
people that
just
are really good at making logos
right.
out
Not and
there.
there's and that is important, right? Like brand is important, logos are great. It's all part of the
Right.
package, all comes together. But I think if you can learn how to bring in your first client, then your next three
Yeah.
clients, then your next five clients, and your next 10 clients, you are going to start to, first of all, build confidence in yourself.
Yep.
You're going to start to understand what your process is and how you deliver the results to your clients. And oh, hey, by the way, now you have money set aside that you can now start to find other ways to diversify and market yourself that
Hmm.
maybe don't light you up or maybe are important but not something that really excites you,
Right.
and then you can start to create those
You mean like
those
doing my books?
Yes, exactly, doing your books. For me, for a while, it was social media. It was, well, and
Okay.
it still is. I mean, to a certain degree it is. I
Sure.
still I still do my own comments and I still do my own DMs,
Yep.
but now I have someone I just record and I send it to my assistant and she does all, because it was
Perfect.
more the editing. It was,
Yeah.
for me, it was like, "Oh my God, I'm taking 2 hours to edit one single damn reel." Like
Right.
this is not a good use of my
No,
time.
that's not a good use of your time.
Yeah.
No, no. And it's hard to get past and over that hump, but I I mean, it's so freeing once you do it. And
Yeah.
I just always throw out there, businesses ebb and flow. And if you like, I love how you said you start doing it and you're building to 1, 2, 10 clients or whatever. And during that time, you're learning all these things you could be offloading, and the things you do and don't like to do. And I often say, I really liked doing my social media at first. It was kind of fun. But
Yes.
then I got to learn more about running a business and being at the top of the visionary of the business. I'm like, that is not a good use. I could spend 3 hours in social media and just blow my day,
Yep.
or going to that networking event, meeting 15 people, and 5 of them are going to need my services. And so I totally get what you're dropping down there too. So on the podcast, we call things that my mic drop moments, I guess, for my guests, or that I happen to come up with, or that during that session.
Yeah.
Um, if you were to share let's say 2 of your top knowledge bits or golden
Mhm.
nuggets, what might they be in order to make people feel more comfortable about taking stuff off their plate, trusting but verifying that somebody else can do it,
Mhm.
that kind of thing? What might your golden nuggets of wisdom be that you would tell them to make them feel more comfortable?
I love this. For me, I think the first thing that's really coming to mind, and it's really close to my heart because I still, full transparency, I think I'd said before, this is still a practice for me as well, right? And
Sure.
it's like every step is the next level, and you have years of experience to bring with you to carry forward, but this new level is different. It's
Yep.
not the same as the moment before, the levels before. And so you have to have this understanding that you are here to maybe learn something new about a lesson or something about yourself. And what I realize is so I say this all because a year ago, um, both business and so both professionally and personally,
Mhm.
a year ago in January of 2025, I was at a new low,
Yeah.
not like the lowest I've ever been, but
Sure.
I was in a funk. I was
Yeah.
definitely in a point where it was a low point. And I remember that I felt like, well, I can, I'm a coach. I coach my clients on this. I've gotten to this point, and I've had coaches before in the past, but at the time I didn't have a coach. I was like, I've gotten here, not on my own, but I've
Yeah.
gotten to this point where I've been able to do, achieve and accomplish all of these beautiful things. So why can't I shake this off? Why can't
Yeah.
I get out of this funk? And it was something deeper that struck me in one of those like moments where I was just reflecting and I was soul searching. And it was like, I know you can do it on your own, Jen, but why would you? Why
Yeah,
would you want
right.
to do it on your own? You are worthy of receiving the help.
Oh, yes, that's it. You're worthy.
Worthy,
Um,
worthy. And I was like, oh, here's this opportunity for me to deepen my own belief in my own self worth.
Yes.
Because when I operate from this place of deeply understanding my own self worth, the help is priceless. The
Ooh,
help
that's good, yeah.
to receive help in my professional in parts of my business is priceless, and to help receive help in some of the my personal areas of my life, like I
Absolutely.
hired a personal trainer because I was like, I
Hire
had to.
trainers, hire ladies to come clean or men,
Yes,
to come clean your
yes,
house so that you can keep working and not have
so
to
I could
worry
keep.
about it.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's delegation.
It
Yeah,
was I needed it. I was like,
yeah.
"Oh my god, you know how to work out, Jen. You know how to do this stuff." But it was like, I need the accountability right now. I just
Another mind, somebody else to think of the things I
yes,
haven't, like, I've been working out my arms, what about my legs?
yes.
You know,
And
somebody else to make me remember,
yes,
which is so comparable to business. I've been working out my networking chops, but oops, I, totally dropped my social media or my books,
yes,
you know? I mean,
yes,
let's keep the cog rolling when we are out making the money,
yes,
trying to find the clients. Yeah.
exactly. And it was like, I can't carry this all.
Yeah.
I just can't.
It's heavy.
Nor do I need to because I am worthy of receiving that help. And it was just this aha moment where it just things kind of connected, and it was like, yeah,
Sure.
you can do it on your own. Of course you can. But look
Sure.
at where you are, my love. You're
Yeah.
not happy.
Oh,
You're
been there. I've
struggling.
been
You're
on
on the
that
struggle
cliff.
bus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
So I would
it's hard, but
it is.
it's doable. There's ways, get creative, find people like yourself, like in your network. They're like, I call them like through an organization I belong to called the Dames, and they have
Mhm.
had a matchup called Power Partners, and just find your people and partner up, man. If you need to have somebody that you can be accountable with on text or whatever, that's helped me a lot. Is just leaning into my network, and they say the network is your net worth, right?
Yep.
But I usually would laugh at those little cliches, but they are so freaking true. It's like, wow, that's kind of like cool, isn't it?
It's a reason why they are cliches, right? Because
Yeah,
there is truth to
because
it.
they really are. factual.
Yes,
They aren't just some BS, and that's not Bonnie Shuts. There aren't some BS that people threw out there. It comes from things, lessons learned, right? And then they came up
absolutely.
with that cliche that just carried on through the years. Um, but I like to also ask my guests this question. So, when you went into business for yourself, and as you are currently, I heard you mention something about an assistant. Was that the first thing you delegated or outsourced in your business?
I'm trying to think back because I've had a few different team members.
Hmm.
I'll be transparent.
Sure.
It was it took some time to find the right people
It
to
does.
help, right? And so,
Hmm.
and part of it was because I was still learning myself, and so, I was like, I think this is what I need help in. I'm not sure. And then
Yep.
other times it was like, but through each evolution of that as well, I got clearer and clearer and clearer in what I wanted, what I needed, and who would be the best fit for that. And now I'm like super pumped to say that I've had my assistant now for the past year and a half,
Yay.
virtual assistant.
Nice.
And she just, I can throw anything at her and
Ugh.
she's on it. And then she takes initiative. She reminds me. Sometimes I appreciate, I always tell her, Pauline, thank you so much for reminding me. She'll be like, hey, it's been a week since you haven't responded to this email that I sent you. And I'm like, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
it's helping me to also stay accountable as well to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Life can come at us in all directions and it can get, as you said in the
But
beginning, very busy.
yeah,
Um,
but at least you have that security in your mind that your business isn't gonna crumble.
exactly.
You can have a mental health day or
Yes.
days. I took a 1-month sabbatical
Mm,
and had my mental health 1 month. That was
easy.
great. But my business didn't go away while I was gone, so I knew that I had done something right. So on that note, I another thing I've done right was invite you to this podcast. So
Aw,
thank you for finally connecting. Can't wait for our coffee date someday. We'll get on the calendar.
yes.
But everybody, I want you to take a look at Jenn's website. I'll put all the links down below for you. I'll put you are a best-selling author. I'll link your book or books also. You want to throw out the names of those? I didn't even
Oh,
ask you.
yes. Yeah. So my website is jennadamson.com and that's Jen with two N's. So it's JENNADAMSON.com. And also, yes, the book you can purchase on Amazon. It is called Brave Women Stand.
Oh, love that. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate
So
it more than you know. And I hope maybe you'll come back. Maybe we'll get some comments and some DMs about, with questions that somebody with your unique skill set can only answer.
I would love that. And Bonnie, thank you. And thank you for what you're doing too. I know you're helping
Absolutely.
so many
Oh,
people listening.
I try. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us again today. And please listen, subscribe, and keep on delegating to elevating because you know what it does? It gets done. Take care, everybody. Bye bye now. Bye, Jenn.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode of Delegate to Elevate, Get Done. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And if this episode gave you a golden nugget or two, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your review may even be featured in a future D2E listener shout out. Head over to delegate to elevatepodcast.com. That's with the number 2 to grab Bonnie's free Delegate to Elevate growth roadmap. Explore past episodes and join us next time for more real conversations about getting done.